Welcome back to HQ Spotlight on this mock draft Monday. That's right, we're counting down the days, 38 to be exact, until the 2025 NFL Draft from Lambeau Field. And after a pretty busy free agency thus far, we have some movement in our latest mock draft. We will be with you the next hour as we welcome in our own Mike Renner and Ryan Wilson to the show as we predict every single pick for the first round of the upcoming NFL Draft. Gentlemen, great to see you. This is certainly not your first rodeo, but for everyone watching at home, we're going to go through about 8 picks at a time here. So let's go ahead and begin with the number 1 overall pick. And at this point, it really feels like, Mike, it's either you're staying for the Titans or you're taking Cam Ward or you're trading back. Which one is it?
Yeah, I could see a world where the Titans want to move this for a haul, right? They're not a good roster. That's how you end up with the number 1 overall pick. And they've traded the number 1 overall pick before, right? They did it back in 2016. But I think they stand pat. I think they watched Will Levis last year, and they said, we can do better. It's not that Will Levis isn't doomed to be a backup his entire career. There are some positive aspects to his game. But you just got to take as many shots as possible when you don't have that guy. And it seems like it's been forever since the Titans have had that guy, all the way back to Steve McNair. So Cam Ward, to me, is the pick here, the Miami quarterback. He's my clear-cut number 1. He's the number 1 player on my draft board. So I'm going to follow my draft board here, and I'm going to go with Cam Ward to be the next quarterback of the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, hard to argue with that, Mike, for all the reasons you laid out there. And Jordan, fun fact, you'll get to see Ryan Wilson and Mike Renner in person next Monday, and we'll be down Coral Gables at the Cam Ward Pro Day. So we'll get a chance to see Cam again. We talked to him at the Combine, and in person, he comes off as a young man with an edge to him, and that's what you want in your franchise quarterback. And as Mike noted, for all the physical tools that we see from Will Levis, it just never quite came together. He is not Brian Callahan's guy, and that Brian Callahan arrived in Tennessee after Will Levis did. So if they want to go in another direction, certainly someone like Cam Ward, and I imagine that the Tennessee Titans will be front and center next week at that pro day as well, would be a great and obvious choice.
All right, Ryan, I'm coming right back to you on this one. The 2nd overall pick, the Browns hold currently. You actually have them taking edge Abdul Carter. The combo of him and Myles Garrett is just scary to think about, but tell me why, in your opinion, this makes so much sense.
Right. The offense needs a ton of help, and it starts with quarterback, and maybe they consider Shedeur Sanders here. Is he the number 2 overall pick worthy? I don't think so, if we're being honest. If we were talking about last year's draft class, he would have been probably QB 5 or 6 12 months ago. And then, of course, after seeing Bo Nix play, he would have been behind Bo Nix as well. But in terms of Abdul Carter, you're getting a juiced-up edge rusher who's only played that position for 1 season. He was an off-ball linebacker, and much the same path that Micah Parsons took coming out of Penn State. And he is only going to get better. He is young, he is athletic, he is freakish. And when you watch him play, at times he can take your breath away. And then you pair him opposite Myles Garrett, which means no double teams for Abdul Carter. That makes things even more interesting. So we'll see. I don't think they're going to trade Myles Garrett. I would consider it in terms of trying to stock that roster with more players. But if you go into 2025 with Myles Garrett and Abdul Carter, you're in a pretty good place defensively, and then you have to worry about fixing the offense.
Yeah, just a quick follow-up, because I do want to get Mike in on this. Mike, as we just talked about, you have the Titans staying and taking Cam Ward, but if that's not the case, do you see the Browns potentially taking Ward if he's available at pick 2?
I do believe that if Ward's available at 2, he's a Brown. But if he's not, to me, everyone I've talked to, the gap between him and the next best quarterback is such that I don't think you pass on Abdul Carter, because as we've seen, if you have Abdul Carter and Myles Garrett for the next 5 seasons, which they have Myles Garrett on a contract for that, and now they'll have Abdul Carter on a contract for that if they draft him, that can still win you a championship. I mean, I go back to the 2015 Broncos that had DeMarcus Ware, Von Miller. That was kind of the last time we really saw 2 edges in that sort of caliber on the same franchise, and they won a Super Bowl. So to me, it's very possible to win on the backs of your defense when you got those 2 guys walking in that building.
All right, we'll see how that comes to play. Let's get to the Giants here now, who need a quarterback or quarterbacks, a veteran who can help them win right now, but also a quarterback of the future. Mike, what do you have the Giants doing at 3 here?
I'm doing exactly what you just described there, going both. I think they're going to sign someone and they're going to draft someone, and I have them going Shedeur Sanders. If you were there at the Shrine Bowl, which me and Ryan were, you saw that the Giants were all over this guy through that week of practices. He's just a guy who can be the face of a franchise, but I think he needs a year or 2 of seasoning. His issues with pocket presence are such that it would worry me starting him right away, especially high on the Giants line that's not been obviously ideal as of late. So I think he's the pick when it's all said and done, because this one's going to come down from the top. It's John Mara saying that I want someone to point to get my fan base excited. A 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers, a high 30-year-old Russell Wilson. Can get you excited for 1 year. It ain't going to be a long-term thing. It ain't going to move jerseys the way Shedeur Sanders would.
All right, Ryan, let's go ahead and get to pick 4 here, because this is where things get a little crazy. We have some change, so walk us through it.
Yeah, this won't upset the internet, so I feel pretty good about the direction that we're going here, Jordan. We're going to have the old Dallas Cowboys trading up. Jerry is going to, in fact, get aggressive. They need help in a lot of places. They're going to get CeeDee Lamb some help. They're going to get Dak Prescott some help. They're going to get the defense some help because they're trading up to number 4 with the New England Patriots coming down, and they're going to take Travis Hunter. They have Deron Bland, they have Trevon Diggs at cornerback, but they've been banged up over the last few years, and you certainly need depth behind those two guys. They signed Kyrie Elam or traded for Kyrie Elam. He's not a long-term solution. Travis Hunter is. On offense, you have CeeDee Lamb, you have Jalen Tolbert, and that's about it. They traded for Jonathan Mingo. He never quite figured it out during his couple months in Dallas. Maybe that changes the former second-round pick for the Carolina Panthers. But Travis Hunter comes in day one and is an immediate deep threat and takes a ton of pressure off CeeDee Lamb and Jake Ferguson and anyone else that might be out there running routes for Dak Prescott. So I'm making this trade up. Make the draft compensation, Jordan, whatever it is that makes you feel best about your team, and then understand that you have Travis Hunter for the next 5 years.
Jerry Jones, at the end of the day, still wants to move jerseys. He still wants to be the lead on every single sports program. Travis Hunter makes you the lead, with his unique ability to play both ways. And if he goes to the Dallas Cowboys, he 100% will. I think he focused on offense with them, though, obviously with CeeDee Lamb there and no one else at the wide receiver position, realistically. I think that's where his primary position would be. But if you got that guy playing both ways at the NFL level, we're going to be talking about him every single Monday next fall. And that's something that Jerry Jones obviously would be interested in.
All right, this one was juicy, and I'm really curious if it comes to fruition here, but you kind of sold me on that, Ryan Wilson, so we'll see if it happens. Mike, let's go ahead and get to Jacksonville here, who holds the 5th overall pick. Big need includes the interior defensive line. Do you see them addressing that in the draft?
100%, because there is a star player right there waiting for him in Michigan's Mason Graham. He is the 4th overall player on my draft board. To me, one of the most NFL-ready players in this entire draft class, which is odd to say because he's only a junior. You usually talk about guys like Jared Verse in that mold who are 5th-year starters coming into the league. No, he's young, but he looks like a veteran already. So for the Jacksonville Jaguars, you already saw GM James Gladstone say, we're not signing free agents because we have young guys that we're going to take in this draft that we want to get on the football field. Already basically tipping his hand saying we're going after the defensive line, which I don't blame him. This defensive line class is amazing, and Mason Graham right at the top there of my defensive tackle rankings.
All right, Ryan, let's get to the Raiders here at 6. What do you have them doing in the draft?
They have Geno Smith, or as I call him by his Christian name, Eugene Cyril Smith III, one of the best names in the NFL. And they're going to get him some help, Jordan. Tedderell McMillan, the wide receiver out of Arizona. His pro day today, unofficial sub 4.5, 4.48 is one number that I saw. And if that's the range, you have to feel pretty good about that. Any concerns about his speed other than what you saw on tape? And he played pretty fast. He wasn't consistently stacking guys, but he's such a huge catch radius, contested catch, high point catcher of the football, checking all those boxes that you want in a deep threat, and Ted McMillan provides that and then some. You have Trey Turner on the roster, you have Jacoby Myers, and of course you have Brock Bowers. Now you get a legit deep threat who would be an improvement in my mind over what Geno Smith had in DK Metcalf, and now this offense is starting to cook a little bit.
No, I really like this pick because one of the bigger names in this receiving class. Mike, before you get to your pick for the Jets at 7, are you in agreement with Tedderell McMillan here?
100%. A lot of people want him to go Ashton Genty here. I do not think that's the case. I would go wide receiver because outside of Brock Bowers last year, they didn't have a guy to go to, especially at the wide receiver position on the outside. And Ted McMillan, what he is a pure outside X type of wide receiver. Definitely fits the strengths of Geno Smith throughout his career. Yeah,
definitely will make an immediate impact with the Raiders. Let's go ahead and get to the Jets here. Mike, who do you have them taking at 7?
I have them going Missouri offensive tackle Armand Membu. I should specify, though, right tackle, because that's where the drastic need is along this Jets offensive line. Obviously, after losing Morgan Moses in free agency, they got all the other 4 positions kind of set. This is going to be their best offensive line since that 2010 season, or I guess it was 2009 when they went to the AFC Championship game. This is a unit that's on the precipice of being very, very good. You draft Armand Membu, the most athletic, the most freakish offensive lineman in this draft class, still only 20 years old, a guy who's over 330 pounds and still ran a 4.9 140 at the combine. You all of a sudden have the makings of something special there to block for Justin Fields. To me, it's a no-brainer if he's on the board.
All right, before we hit a quick break, let's go ahead and get to the Panthers here, Ryan, who are selecting at 8th overall in the first round. Who is next off the board?
Jordan, if Ted McMillan had still been here, that would have been an obvious choice for Bryce Young. But instead, we're going to go on the other side of the ball. Their defense was decimated by trading guys and letting guys go in recent years, so they need to restock the defense. I went with edge rusher Mike Green out of Marshall. He is incredibly juiced up. No one plays harder play in and play out than Mike Green at the edge rush position. He does it 50, 60 snaps a game. The former UVA transfer went to the Senior Bowl and absolutely balled out. We'll see if there's some off-field stuff. He talked about it at the Combine and whether NFL teams are concerned about that or not. I've gotten varying opinions from teams about how concerned they should be, but we'll see. In terms of on-field talent, he's a top 15 guy, and if he went top 10, that also would not surprise me.
All right, gentlemen, we'll leave it there for now. We're just getting started here on our Mock Draft Monday. Here is a quick recap of our first 8 picks of our latest mock draft from our own Mike Renner and Ryan Wilson. Big change. And most notable, at 4, you see there, Ryan has the Cowboys actually trading up, taking that 4th pick from the Patriots to take Travis Hunter, the two-way star out of Colorado. Welcome back to HQ Spotlight on CBS Sports Network. Our Mock Draft Monday continues with Mike Renner and Ryan Wilson. I'm Jordan Giorgio. And guys, we pick it up with the 9th pick in the draft here. Mike, who do you have the Saints taking?
I have them traveling just down the road to LSU and taking Will Campbell, the offensive lineman. They have pretty much everything figured out, kind of like what I just said about the Jets. They have left tackle, they have center, they have right guard, they have right tackle, all figured out. They got that glaring hole at left guard. Will Campbell, after his combine, after measuring with a 6'5" wingspan, I think he's going to be a guard at the next level. But he's going to be a darn good one. And if you've seen anything this offseason, you know that guards are getting paid like $20+ million a year. It's a premium position in today's NFL. He is a day one starter. If you draft Will Campbell, you have one of the best run blocking lines in the NFL there in New Orleans. That's something that I am interested in. I think Mickey Loomis will be interested in it as well.
I like it, and they don't have to go far to get it. Ryan, let's go ahead and get to number 10 here. You have the Bears actually adding some defensive talent. Who are you liking in this spot?
Yeah, Jalen Walker out of Georgia, who can play just about anywhere, and he is incredibly athletic, plays with a ton of strength for his size, and I think his best football is ahead of him, as we like to say. Last year, they picked 9th overall, the Bears did, and there were some conversations about whether they might address offensive line or even edge rush to help out Montez Sweat. They went with Rome Odunze, who I think is going to be a really good player, the wide receiver, but this time around, they get Montez Sweat some help. A year ago, they traded back into day 3 and got Austin Booker, a developmental pass rusher. They signed Grady Jarrett for the interior during free agency, but someone like Jalen Walker opposite Montez Sweat feels a lot what we were talking about earlier in terms of doubling up on edge rushers to make it harder for offensive lines to double team one guy as opposed to the other, and that should be a lot of opportunities for Jalen Walker to get after the quarterback.
All right, working our way through our latest NFL mock draft. Let's go ahead and get to pick 11. Mike, the floor is yours as the 49ers are on the clock.
I have them taking a big swing of the bat here.